4 liminal space horror stories that feel impossible to escape. There are places that are not supposed to feel frightening. A motel hallway, an empty shopping mall, a hotel pool after midnight, an office floor after everyone has gone home. None of those places sound dangerous on their own. They sound ordinary, temporary, forgettable, the kind of spaces you pass through without thinking. But sometimes, the places we are meant to move through quickly become the places that refuse to let us leave. A hallway stretches farther than it should. An elevator opens onto a floor that does not exist. An empty building still hums with life, even though no one is there. And somewhere in that stillness, you begin to feel the worst kind of fear. Not the fear that something is chasing you, the fear that the world has shifted slightly around you, and that no one else would believe it if they saw it. Liminal spaces have always unsettled people. Places between places. Doors, corridors, stairwells, parking garages, waiting rooms, airport tunnels, abandoned stores, hotel lobbies at 3 in the morning. They are not destinations. They are transitions, and maybe that is what makes them so unnerving. They are spaces where you are not supposed to stay. So when something keeps you there, when a hallway becomes longer, when a room number disappears, when the exit leads back to the beginning, it starts to feel like you have stepped into a place that was never meant for people to understand. Tonight's stories are about places that look empty, safe, harmless, but only until you stay there too long. Only until you notice that the lights never change. The air never moves. The same song keeps playing in the distance, and the signs pointing you out all seem to lead you deeper in. These are 4 liminal space horror stories about being trapped in the spaces between, and about what happens when those spaces decide they want to keep you. Story 1. The motel hallway that never reached room 214. I only stopped at the motel because I was too tired to keep driving. If I had been less stubborn, I would have stopped an hour earlier. If I had been less cheap, I would have booked something nicer. If I had been less tired, maybe I would have noticed what was wrong before I took the room key. But I had been on the road for almost 9 hours. I was driving from St. Louis to Pittsburgh for work, and what should have been a simple overnight stop had turned into one of those miserable March drives where the rain never gets heavy enough to force you off the road, but never lets up long enough for you to relax. By the time I crossed into Ohio, it was past 11 at night. My shoulders hurt. My eyes burned. Every gas station coffee I had bought since Illinois had stopped helping. I needed a bed. Not a good bed, just a door that locked, and a mattress horizontal enough to count as rest. The motel sat just off the interstate near a town I do not remember the name of. It was one of those old 2-story roadside places with exterior stairs, a glowing vacancy sign, and a parking lot slick with rain. There was a diner next door that had already gone dark, and behind the motel, beyond a stand of black trees, I could hear the faint hiss of traffic from the highway. The place was called the Briar Glen Motor Lodge. At least, that was what the sign said. Half the letters in Briar Glen had burned out, so from the road, it looked more like a warning than a business. Inside the office, the air smelled like old carpet and burnt coffee. A television in the corner played a late-night sitcom with the volume low. A man sat behind the counter, reading a paperback under a yellow lamp. He looked to be in his late 60s, with silver hair, a face worn smooth by long years of night shifts, and the kind of stillness that made him seem less like a person working at a motel and more like a piece of furniture that had always been there. He looked up when I came in. "Need a room?" "Yeah," I said. "Just for the night." He studied me for a moment, not suspiciously, just carefully, as if making sure I was real. "Just you?" "Just me." He nodded, slid a paper registration card across the counter, and pointed to a jar of pens. As I wrote my name, I noticed something strange behind him. A board with numbered hooks for room keys. Most of the hooks were empty, but the numbering was odd. 201, 202, 203, then 205, 206, 208, no 204, no 207, and farther down, after 213, there was no 214. It jumped straight to 215. I almost asked about it, but it felt like a pointless thing to mention. Instead, I handed him the registration card. He looked at it, then at me. "You will be upstairs," he said. He reached for a key hanging on a long plastic tag and placed it on the counter. The tag read 214. For a second I thought I had read it wrong. I looked at the board again. There was still no hook labeled 214. I looked back at the key. Definitely 214. "Second floor?" I asked. "Yes. Left staircase. Follow the hallway all the way down." He said that last part with just enough emphasis to make me notice it. All the way down. I picked up the key. It was attached to a heavy brass fob with the motel's name engraved on it. "Wi-Fi password?" I asked. He pointed at a little paper tent on the counter. I glanced at it. "Briar guest. Thanks." I started to turn away, then stopped. "Hey," I said, "does the diner next door open early?" The man looked at the dark office window. "Not anymore." "What do you mean?" "It has not been open in years." I frowned. From the road, I could have sworn the neon sign in the diner window had been on. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was more tired than I thought. "Right," I said. "Long day." The man gave a small, unreadable smile. "They get longer here." I should have laughed. I should have taken it as weird Motel clerk humor and gone straight to bed. Instead, I felt a thin line of discomfort slip into my thoughts. Not fear, not yet. Just the sense that something was slightly out of place. Outside, the rain had softened to a mist. The parking lot reflected the motel lights in long wavering smears of yellow. My room was on the second floor, so I climbed the exterior metal staircase at the left end of the building and stepped onto the open walkway. The second floor ran the length of the motel in a straight line. Room doors on one side, a waist-high metal railing on the other, overlooking the parking lot. It looked ordinary enough, the sort of place where every sound carried too far. I started walking. 201, 202, 203, 205. That was the first thing I noticed. The numbering matched the keyboard in the office. Then came 206, 208, no 207, then 209, 210, 211, 212, 213. I kept walking, expecting to see 214 at the far end. Instead, there was a corner. That confused me. From the parking lot, the motel had looked like one straight building, but the hallway turned sharply right at the far end, continuing out of view. I stopped, looked back. The staircase I had come up was still visible behind me, at the left end, a little way down. The office window glowed on the first floor below. The rain hissed softly on the asphalt. Everything felt normal. Just a slightly larger motel than I had assumed. I turned the corner. The hallway continued. Same doors, same yellow wall lights, same wet concrete underfoot. The numbering began again at 215, then 216, 217. I walked more slowly. There should not have been this many rooms. Not from what I had seen outside. But motels could be deceptive. Maybe there was another wing. Maybe the building wrapped farther back than I realized. 218, 219, 220, and still no 214. I stopped beneath the next light and took out my phone to check the booking email. The signal bars were weak. One bar, then none. The motel Wi-Fi showed up in the list, but when I entered the password from the office, it failed to connect. I tried again. No luck. I looked up The hallway stretched ahead, identical in both directions. The same doors, the same yellow lights, the same faded, patterned carpet runner glued to the concrete along the center. I had not noticed the carpet before. Maybe because I had been watching the room numbers. For the first time, I felt something colder than unease. Not because I was lost. I was still in a motel hallway. People get turned around in unfamiliar places all the time. But because the space around me had a strange quality I could not explain. A whoosh, as though the air had been sealed. I could no longer hear the interstate. No traffic. No distant tire on wet pavement. No hum from the vending machine I remembered passing near the stairs. Only the faint buzz of the overhead lights. I kept walking. 221, 222, 223, and then nothing. The next door had no number. It was just a blank brown door under a light that flickered softly. I looked back at room 223, then at the blank door, then at the next one beyond it. That one had a brass plate reading 214. I let out a breath I had not realized I was holding. There it was. My room. I told myself I had worked myself up over nothing. Weird numbering, odd layout, tired brain. That was all. I stepped toward the door and slid the key into the lock. Before I could turn it, I heard a sound behind me. Door opening. I turned. The blank door next to mine stood 3 inches open. A line of dark space showed through the gap. No light inside. No movement. Just blackness. I waited. Nothing. Then, from inside the room, a woman's voice said softly, "Do not go in yours." I froze. "Hello?" I said. No answer. The woman spoke again. "Do not go in room 214. I stepped back from the lock. "Who are you?" Still no answer. Just a pause. Then, "You are not supposed to reach it this early." I should have gone back to the office right then. But tired people do stupid things. You do not want to become the kind of person who bolts because a voice says something strange through a cracked motel door. So, I tried to make it normal. "Look," I said, "if this is some kind of joke, I am not in the mood." A faint laugh came from inside the dark room. Not amused, more tired than anything. "It will not feel like a joke when you stop finding the stairs." My mouth went dry. "What? Did he give you 214 on purpose?" "The clerk? He always does that to the ones who are tired enough," she said. "What does that mean?" "It means if you go inside that room, you stop belonging to the part of the building that leaves." He stared at her. Every sentence she said sounded like the setup to an explanation that never came. "When you came up the stairs, how many rooms did you pass before the hallway turned?" she asked. 13, I think. "And how many did you pass after that?" I hesitated. "I do not know." Her voice became very quiet. "That is the problem." The hallway lights flickered once. Not all at once. One after another, down the corridor behind me. A ripple of dim yellow shivering through the air. The woman turned her head, as if listening to something farther down. Then she looked back at me. "You still remember where the stairs are," she said. "That means you still have a chance." That was the point where ordinary reasoning finally gave up. I backed away from room 214. "Yeah," I said. "I am going downstairs. Do not run." The warning came fast. Sharp. "If you run, it notices." A stupid response rose to my lips. What notices? But I never asked, because from somewhere far down the hallway, around the bend I had just come from, I heard footsteps. Slow, measured, approaching, not loud, barely more than the sound of shoes brushing carpet. I turned my head toward the sound. The hallway beyond the corner stayed empty, but the footsteps continued. The woman in the dark room closed her door a little farther. "Walk back the way you came," she said. "If the stairs are there, take them. If they are not, keep walking until they are." That does not make any sense. It will not. The footsteps came closer. Still no figure around the corner. Who is that? I asked. Sometimes it sounds like someone who should be here, she said. I started walking back the way I had come, slowly, trying not to look hurried. The hallway turned left, then straightened into the first stretch I remembered. 213, 212, 211, 210. That helped. The numbers were going in reverse. Everything was normal. My breathing eased a little. Then I reached where room 208 should have been. There was no 208. The door now read 219. I stopped. I looked at the door next to it. 220. The next one, 221. That was impossible. I turned around. The rooms behind me showed 210, 211, 212, 213. Ahead of me, 219, 220, 221. The missing section between them had simply vanished. I walked faster. Not running, just faster. The hallway seemed longer than before. The staircase should have been visible by now. It was not. The railing to my left no longer overlooked the parking lot. Beyond it was darkness. Not night sky, not trees, just a flat, dim, depthless dark, like the corridor had been lifted out of the world and suspended over nothing. A voice behind me said, "Still trying the stairs?" I spun around. The old clerk from the office stood 20 feet away in the hallway. Same silver hair, same paperback in one hand, same mild expression. I had not heard him approach. He was not wet from the rain. He looked as if he had simply always been standing there. "What is this?" I demanded. "A room for the night." "No." I held up the key tag. "What is room 214? "Your room." "Why is this place laid out like this?" "Most people do not ask that until later." "I am leaving. You are welcome to try." The matter-of-fact way he said it frightened me more than if he had threatened me. I took a step backward, then another. He did not follow. Who was in that other room? No one stays there long. That was enough. I turned and walked away from him. At first, fast, then faster. Door after identical door past me on the right. The numbers climbed. 221, 222, 223. Blank door. 214, then 215 again. It had looped. I was back at the same section. The blank door beside 214 stood open again. The woman inside was closer to the doorway now. Pale skin, tired eyes, a bruise-colored shadow beneath both of them. "You ran into him," she said. "Who are you?" "My name is Karen." "Come inside. Only for a minute. If he sees you standing in the hallway too long, he starts moving the ends again." I went in. The room looked like a motel room that had been slowly forgetting what motel rooms were supposed to contain. There were 2 beds, a television bolted to the dresser, a lamp by the window, a framed picture of a sailboat on the wall. But none of it felt used in the normal way. The other bed held a neat stack of abandoned things. A room key, a wallet, a dead phone, a pair of car keys, a folded map. "Are those yours?" I asked. "No." "Then whose?" "People who found their way back here." "What is this place?" "It is the motel," she said. "But not all of it. There is the normal part, the part off the road, where people check in and sleep and leave. And then there is this part, the part that opens when someone is tired enough, turned around enough, alone enough." "When did you get here?" "August," she said. "It is March." "Yes, that is impossible. Everything here is impossible," she said. "That stops being the part that bothers you. There has to be a way out. There is. How? Only one rule matters here. Do not enter 214. That is the way out?" "It is the trap." "Then why give it to me?" "Because the place likes when people choose it." I rubbed both hands over my face. "This does not make any sense." "It still will not. But listen carefully. The hallway changes based on where you think you are trying to go. If you focus on leaving, it stretches. If you focus on the room, it gives it to you. And if you go into 214, she did not answer right away. Did you notice how quiet it is out there? Yes, because the people who go into 214 stop making noise. I crossed to the curtains and yanked them open. The window did not show the parking lot. It showed another motel hallway, perfectly lit, perfectly empty, stretching away left and right behind the glass. I stumbled backward. Karen watched me. That one started appearing around November, she said. So what do? We wait until the building resets. What does that mean? The lights dim around what feels like dawn. Sometimes the hallway remembers the stairs for a little while. Sometimes the office comes back. Sometimes, if you get the office, do not talk to him longer than you need to. Something knocked at the room door. 3 soft taps. Karen went rigid. The knock came again. Tap, tap, tap. Then the clerk's voice, mild as ever, came through the wood. Miss Warren? Karen's face drained of color. You told him your name? I whispered. He already knows it. The clerk spoke again. You have a guest. That is not permitted after quiet hours. Do not answer, Karen whispered. The doorknob turned, stopped, turned again. The lock held. He has a room, Miss Warren. You should let him go to it. Karen looked at me. Do you understand now? The knock came a 3rd time. Then silence. I spent what felt like the next few hours in that room. Maybe they were hours. Maybe they were 20 minutes. Time there felt stretched and slippery. At some point, the room lights dimmed. A slow, yellow weakening, as if the electricity in the building had grown tired too. Karen stood. This is when it changes. We stepped into the hall. At the far end, beyond room 223, I could see a red exit sign glowing dimly. The stairs? I whispered. Maybe. Karen looked at me. If you get out, do not stop in the office. Do not look at him longer than you need to. Do not answer if he says your room number. What about you? I have not gotten the stairs in a long time. You are coming with me. She held my gaze, then nodded. We walked toward the red sign. Not too fast, not too slow. Room 214 passed on our left. The door was open. Blackness filled the doorway. As we drew level with it, a voice from inside said, David, my own name. Soft, familiar. Inside the room, the darkness shifted. For one impossible second, I saw my father sitting in an armchair beneath the lamp. My father had been dead for 11 years. Come here, he said gently. My feet slowed. Karen grabbed my wrist. That is not him. I knew it was not him, but grief has its own reflexes. By then, the room was changing. The armchair was gone. The figure inside was taller now, standing, wrong in shape. Its face stretched white in the dark, like something half-finished. It smiled with my father's mouth. David, it said again. Karen pulled me forward. We kept walking, did not run, did not look back. The exit sign seemed no closer. Then, all at once, it was 10 feet away. A metal door beneath it stood slightly ajar. Real night air moved through the crack. Karen reached it first, then froze. What? I whispered. She looked at the sign above the door. The red letters no longer read exit. They read 214. That was the test, she whispered. Behind us, I heard the clerk walking, not hurrying, not needing to. Then Karen's eyes landed on the room numbers near us. 212, 213. Beyond the bend, faintly, I saw the outline of the staircase. Not the exit door, the staircase. Now, Karen said. We moved faster. Behind us, the footsteps quickened. The clerk's voice came softly down the hallway. Room 214 is ready. I did not look back. The staircase grew larger. Karen reached it first. She grabbed the rail, then every room door opened at once. A wave of clicks and hinges up and down the hallway. I turned despite myself. Every room door stood open. Inside each doorway stood a person. A man in a business suit. A teenage girl clutching a backpack. An older woman in a nightgown. A boy in a rain jacket. A trucker in boots. All pale. All still. All watching. The clerk stood in the middle of them, farther down the hall. "Please do not leave your key," he called. Karen yanked my arm. I took the stairs 2 at a time. The rain smell returned. The real night rushed up around us. We hit the parking lot, running. The motel looked normal from outside. One straight 2-story building. Wet asphalt. Vacancy sign. Dark diner beside it. And no impossible hallway visible anywhere. I reached for Karen's arm. She was gone. I spun around. No one behind me. No one on the stairs. No one in the parking lot except my own car and 3 others. I stared at the second-floor walkway. Room 214 was not there. The numbering visible from outside went from 213 to 215. No blank space between them. No sign of Karen. I ran to the office. The front desk was empty. No clerk. No paperback. No keys on the wall. Only dust outlines where the board might once have been. On the counter sat a little brass room fob. I knew what it would say before I picked it up. 214. I dropped it, got in my car, and drove. I did not stop until sunrise. Later that morning, I searched for the Briar Glen Motor Lodge online. There was no website, no booking page, no reviews newer than 2009. What I did find was an old local newspaper article about a fire at a roadside motel in Ohio. The motel had been called the Briar Glen Motor Lodge. The fire happened in August, 13 years ago. A guest in room 214 had reported smoke in the hallway just before the fire spread. When firefighters searched the building afterward, they found 5 people dead. One guest was never accounted for. Her name was Karen Warren. Every few months now, usually late at night when I am in a hotel or apartment hallway somewhere, I hear footsteps behind me. Slow, measured, never quite close enough to see who is making them. And once, only once, in a motel outside Harrisburg, I passed a room with no number on the door. The next room was 214. And from inside the blank one, a woman's tired voice said, "Do not go in yours." Story 2. The empty mall under the airport. I worked the late shift at O'Hare for 6 years before I found the mall. Not a gift shop. Not one of those sterile airport corridors full of expensive headphones, neck pillows, and sandwiches wrapped in plastic. A mall. A real one. Or at least something that had once wanted to be real. Tile floors. Storefronts. Planters. Benches. A directory sign. Escalators that did not move. Music playing from somewhere in the ceiling. All of it buried beneath one of the busiest airports in the country, under terminals I had walked through hundreds of times, in a level that was not on any map. My name is Lauren Myers. Back then, I worked for a private cleaning contractor assigned to overnight terminal maintenance. Mostly, I pushed carts full of trash bags through empty gates after midnight, wiped down seating areas, cleaned spills that had dried into the carpet, and collected whatever people left behind. Airports are strange at night. During the day, they feel like controlled chaos. Children crying, suitcases rolling, announcements repeating, people in suits walking too fast, people in pajamas sleeping on the floor, families hugging, passengers arguing with gate agents as if anger can move weather. But after midnight, when the last big wave of departures clears and the early morning flights have not started boarding yet, the airport becomes something else. Too bright, too clean, too hollow. The terminals are still lit like daylight, but the crowds are gone. The restaurants pull down their metal gates. The moving walkways keep humming even when no one is on them. The windows become black mirrors. Your own reflection follows you past empty chairs and closed coffee shops. It never scared me at first. I liked it. There was a peace to those hours. Most nights I listened to podcasts through one earbud and worked without thinking too much. I knew the parts of the airport most passengers never saw: service corridors, storage rooms, employee elevators, back stairwells, baggage tunnels, break rooms with broken microwaves. That is why, when I found the elevator marked lower retail access, I assumed I had simply never noticed it before. It was a Thursday night in November, cold rain outside, a lot of delayed flights earlier in the evening. By 1 a.m, the terminal felt drained, like the building itself was exhausted. I was working near the far end of Terminal 3, close to a cluster of gates that had been closed for renovation. Temporary walls blocked part of the concourse, and plastic sheeting hung over the work area. Behind the temporary wall, the air smelt like dust, paint, and wet concrete. The carpet had been pulled up. The ceiling panels were missing in places. Wires hung in bundled loops above my head. I swept screws and scraps into a pile near the wall. That was when I heard music, faint, muffled, almost cheerful, a soft instrumental version of a pop song I recognized but could not name. The kind of song that plays in department stores when no one is listening. I followed it. Behind the plywood was a narrow service passage I had never seen open before. At the end of it stood an elevator. Old stainless steel doors, a small keypad, a sign above the call button, lower retail access. I frowned at it. There was no lower retail area under Terminal 3. There were train tunnels, baggage systems, utility rooms, mechanical levels, not retail, not shopping, not a mall. The elevator call button glowed amber. I should have gone back. Instead, I pressed the button. The doors opened immediately. Inside, the elevator looked older than the terminals around it. Brushed metal walls, a yellowed light panel in the ceiling, a smell like dust and old perfume. There were only 3 buttons. G, B. The button marked L was already lit. The doors closed behind me before I pressed anything. Then the elevator moved. Down, too far down. Employee elevators usually moved a floor or 2, maybe 3 if you were going to baggage or mechanical areas. This one descended for almost a full minute. My phone had no signal. The floor indicator above the doors did not show numbers, only a small red line moving downward through a blank vertical slot. Finally, the elevator stopped. The doors opened, and I looked out into a shopping mall. I did not step out right away. I just stood there with one hand on my cleaning cart and stared. The space beyond the elevator was enormous. A wide tiled walkway stretched left and right under a high ceiling of dark skylights that could not possibly lead to the sky. Planters lined the center of the corridor, full of plastic trees covered in dust. Benches sat beneath old brass lamp. Storefronts stood on both sides, their metal gates pulled down halfway or left open just enough to see darkness beyond. The signs above the stores looked faded and generic. The Travel Shop, Northern Books, Sunset Photo, Little Threads. The music stopped. There was a fountain in the middle of the corridor, dry except for a shallow pool of black water collected at the bottom. Escalators rose to an upper level that disappeared into darkness. A banner hung from the railing above. Welcome, travelers. The letters were printed in a smiling blue font that made the place feel worse. I backed up and pressed the elevator button for G. nothing happened. A soft chime sounded behind me. Then, a woman's recorded voice came from the elevator speaker. Lower retail level. Please take all belongings with you. I said out loud, nope. Still nothing. I pushed my cart out of the elevator. The doors closed behind me. The call button beside them lit for 1 second, then went dark. No elevator. I looked around for a service phone. There should have been one. Every airport level has phones. Emergency call stations. Fire alarms. Something. But the walls near the elevator were blank, except for an old directory sign. A red dot near the elevator read, "You are here." At the bottom was a name, Concourse B Marketplace. That made no sense. I looked for exits. The directory showed 4, North Access, South Access, Transit Link, Parking Walkway. I chose North Access because it seemed closest. Outside a store called Sunset Photo, I stopped. The metal gate was halfway down. Behind it, shelves lined the walls, still full of disposable cameras, picture frames, film canisters, photo albums, and old postcards of Chicago. A sign in the window read, 1 hour developing. Then something in the display caught my eye. A photograph. At first, I thought it showed a family, a father, a mother, a little girl. Then I stepped closer. The little girl was me, 8 years old, missing one front tooth. Wearing a purple coat I had loved so much, my mother had to hide it from me in the summer. I knew that photo. It had been taken at a zoo in Wisconsin when I was 8. My father kept it in a shoebox after the divorce. Years later, the box disappeared. I had not seen the picture in nearly 20 years, but there it was. In the window of a photo shop under an airport, I reached under the half-lowered gate before I could stop myself. My fingers brushed the frame. The moment I touched it, the store lights turned on, 1 row at a time. Click, click, click. Behind the counter stood a man in a burgundy vest. His face was pale and soft, blurred slightly in a way that made it hard to focus on his features. "Order for Myers," he said. I did not order anything. Everyone says that at first. He placed a small yellow photo envelope on the counter. My name was written on it. Myers, Lauren. Would you like to see the ones you lost? I backed away until my cart bumped against a planter. Then I walked quickly away. The North Access sign hung ahead over a hallway lined with payphones. Every phone began ringing at once. 1 ring. Pauser. 1 ring. Pauser. I knew better than to answer. The nearest phone stopped ringing. Then the next, until only the last phone on the right continued. I walked past it. The receiver lifted from the cradle by itself. I heard my mother's voice. "Lauren?" I froze. My mother died in 2018. Cancer. Long illness. Long goodbye. Her voice on that phone was not the thin, broken voice from the end. It was her old voice. Warm, impatient, always slightly out of breath because she tried to do everything too quickly. "Lauren, honey, where are you?" I could not move. Her voice came again. "You forgot something." My eyes burned. I hated myself for wanting to answer. The hallway lights dimmed. "Lauren, pick up." I whispered, "No." The warmth drained out of the voice. "You always leave things behind." Then all the phones went dead. I ran. The hallway turned left, then right, then opened into the mall again. I was back where I started. The elevator was gone. Only a blank wall where the doors had been. The directory sign still stood nearby. The red dot had moved. "You are here." Now it appeared at the far end of the mall, near the food court. More stores were open now. Not fully, just enough. Gates raised a few feet. Lights glowing in the back, displays visible. The mall did not just contain things I had lost. It contained things I had tried not to remember losing. That was worse. At the food court, the lights were brighter. Tables sat in neat rows. Restaurants had glowing signs above dark counters. Pizza, noodles, coffee, frozen yogurt, grill, no brands, no staff, no food smell. At the center of the food court stood a play area, foam shapes, a plastic tunnel, a faded little airplane children could climb through. Inside the airplane cockpit, something moved. A small hand pressed against the plastic window. Then a child's face appeared. A boy, maybe 5, pale, eyes wide. "Are you new?" he asked. I could not answer. He crawled out of the toy aeroplane. He wore pajamas under a winter coat. One shoe was untied. In one hand, he held a stuffed dinosaur by the tail. "What is your name?" "Ethan. Where are your parents?" His face changed when I asked that. "They went to get pretzels." The pretzel stand behind him was closed. "Ethan, do you know how to get out?" He nodded. "Can you show me?" He pointed toward the far side of the food court. "There is a door behind the arcade." "Does it go upstairs?" "Sometimes." "What happens the other times?" "It takes you where you left something." A loudspeaker crackled overhead. The mall music stopped. A recorded announcement played. "Attention travelers, the lower retail level will be closing in 15 minutes. Please gather all belongings." Ethan's eyes went wide. "You have to hide." "What?" "You have to hide when they clean." "I work cleaning." He shook his head fast. "Not that cleaning." The lights flickered. Somewhere down the mall, metal gates began to rattle. Ethan grabbed my hand. His fingers were icy. "Come on." He pulled me behind the arcade. At the rear was a door marked "Employees Only." Behind it was a narrow hallway, concrete walls, exposed pipes, a smell like wet dust. We slipped inside. He closed the door behind us. Almost immediately, the food court lights went out. Then I heard wheels, a cart, slowly rolling across the tile. Squeak, Pause, squeak, Pause. Through the small window, I saw a figure in a janitor's uniform pushing a cleaning cart almost identical to mine. Its face was hidden by reflection. It stopped at each table, wiping the surface with a rag in long, circular motions. Ethan whispered, "Do not let them see what you remember." The janitor stopped. Its head turned toward the arcade door. Then it spoke in my supervisor's voice. "Lauren, you still down here?" The voice was perfect. The figure pushed the cart closer. "Lauren, answer me." The voice changed. "My mother." "Lauren, honey, do not make me come in there." Something inside me almost broke. Ethan whispered, "They only know the voices you carry." The figure tapped the glass once, then moved on. We waited until the squeaking faded. Then Ethan led me deeper into the service hallway. It led into a maze of back corridors. Some looked like airport service tunnels. Others looked like the back hallways of a mall. Locked doors had names written on paper, signs. Lost luggage, seasonal display, returned items, unclaimed. Ethan stopped at the last door. "Unclaimed. That one sometimes opens out," he said. I tried the handle. Locked. It opens when you give something back. He placed his stuffed dinosaur on the floor in front of the door. The lock clicked. Beyond it was not an exit. It was a storage room. Rows and rows of shelves stretched away into the dark. Suitcases, backpacks, coats, shoes, phones, photo albums, keys, wedding rings, toys, documents, hundreds of thousands of lost things, maybe millions. On the nearest shelf sat my cleaning car. It had a paper label, Myers, Laura. Ethan stepped into the room. No, I said. Wait, my door might be here. What door? The one my mum used. I followed him. Every shelf had labels. Not item labels, names. Then I saw a shelf labeled Myers, Lauren. On it sat the purple coat, the zoo photograph, the baby name book, a cracked cassette player from high school, a cheap bracelet from my first boyfriend, a voicemail recorder from my mother's old answering machine, and at the center of the shelf, a small white envelope. The letter I wrote to my father when I was 21 and never mailed. I had burned that letter. Here it was, whole, unopened. My name written across the front in my own handwriting. A speaker crackled overhead. Attention travelers. Unclaimed items will be processed shortly. The shelves began to move. Aisles narrowed. I grabbed Ethan's hand and ran. Phones lit up on the shelves as we passed. Incoming calls. Some from Mum, some from Dad, some from unknown. The phones rang together. A green exit sign at the end of the aisle flickered, then changed. Baggage claim. Parking walkway. Home. Ethan pulled at my hand. Do not read them. The sign flickered again. Gate B12. Then door to Dad. A door appeared at the end of the aisle. The front door of my father's old apartment. Light glowed beneath it. Behind the door, my father coughed. Then he said, my name. Lorraine? I took one step toward the door. Some griefs become instincts. Then something small hit my leg. Ethan's stuffed dinosaur. He had thrown it at me. They are not doors, he whispered. They are hooks. The door to my father's apartment creaked open. Inside was a dark mall corridor stretching away forever. I grabbed Ethan and ran. We reached a service exit just as the shelves slid shut behind us. Cold air hit my face. We stumbled into a stairwell. At the top, a sign read, Terminal Access. We climbed. After 6 flights, we reached a metal door. I pushed it open. We stepped into Terminal 3 near Gate H14. The airport was alive again. A janitor buffed the floor. A gate agent typed at a counter. 2 passengers slept across a row of seats. I turned to Ethan. He was gone. Only passengers, airport seats, and sterile white light remained. Security footage later showed me entering the renovation area at 1:07 in the morning. Then nothing. For almost 3 hours, I did not appear on any camera. At 4:02 in the morning, I came out of a stairwell near Gate H14. Alone. There was no boy. No service elevator. No lower retail access. No mall. In my jacket pocket, I found a little paper lost and found tag. Myers, Lauren, returned. I quit the airport job a month later. I later found a missing child report from 1996. A 5-year-old boy named Ethan Cole vanished from O'Hare during a layover with his parents. The last confirmed place anyone saw him was near a play area shaped like an airplane. The photos showed the same pajamas, same winter coat, same stuffed dinosaur. Last winter, I had to fly through O'Hare for my sister's wedding. At midnight, after a delay, I heard music. Across the concourse, between a closed coffee shop and a newsstand, a narrow hallway had appeared. At the end of it, old stainless steel elevator doors stood open. Above them, a sign glowed, lower retail access. Inside the elevator stood Ethan, but he was not alone. Behind him stood dozens of people, travelers, employees, children, a woman in a wedding dress, an old man holding a boarding pass, all waiting quietly. Ethan raised one hand, not waving, warning. Then he mouthed 2 words. Not yet. The elevator doors closed. The hallway vanished. When I opened my bag after landing in Denver, something was tucked inside the front pocket. A yellow photo envelope. Inside was a single photograph of the Underground Mall. On the back, someone had written, "We found your door. I have not flown since. People think I am afraid of planes now. I let them think that planes are not what scare me. What scares me are the spaces underneath, the elevators with buttons no one remembers installing, and the idea that somewhere beneath the places we pass through every day, there are rooms full of everything we have lost. Still sorted, still waiting, still listening for our names." Story 3. The indoor pool that opened after midnight. The sign on the pool door said it closed at 10. That was one of the first things I noticed when we checked into the hotel. Not because I cared about swimming. I did not. I was 39 years old, tired from driving, and traveling with a wife, 2 kids, 3 suitcases, a cooler full of snacks, and a growing headache behind my eyes. A pool was not a luxury to me. It was a place children begged to go when parents wanted to sit down, but my son saw it before I did. "Dad," Ben said, tugging on my sleeve, "they have an indoor pool." I looked where he pointed. Beyond the lobby, past a small seating area with fake plants and a coffee station, there was a glass wall. Behind it, glowing under blue-white lights, was the hotel pool. The water was perfectly still. Too still, maybe? The kind of still that makes a surface look less like water and more like glass. A row of plastic chairs sat along the far wall. A life ring hung beside a metal shower. A sign above the glass door read, "Pool hours, 7 in the morning to 10 at night." Ben pressed both hands to the glass. "He can swim tomorrow," my wife, Allison, said before he could ask. "But it is right there. It is almost 9:30. That is still before 10. Our daughter, Nora, leaned against Allison's leg with her stuffed fox. "I want the pool too," she mumbled. "No pool tonight," I said. "Tomorrow morning." The woman at the front desk laughed politely. She was young, wearing a blue blazer with the hotel logo. Her name tag said Megan. "Pool opens at 7, she said. "Breakfast starts at 6:30. She handed us 2 key cards. "Room 318. Elevators are around the corner." Then she looked toward the pool door. For a second, her smile thinned. "One thing," she said. "The pool door locks automatically at 10. Please do not try to open it after hours." "Not a problem," I said. She held my gaze. "I mean it. The sensor is old. Sometimes people think it is unlocked when it is not. If your kids hear water or see lights in there after 10, just ignore it." That was a strange thing to say, but we were exhausted. Room 318 was exactly what you would expect from a mid-range hotel off the interstate in central Pennsylvania. 2 queen beds, a pull-out chair, a television mounted above a dresser, a refrigerator that hummed too loudly, a window facing the parking lot, and dark trees. By 10:30, the kids were in pajamas. By 11, Nora was asleep. By 11:30, Ben was finally quiet. The room sank into that particular hotel silence. Not true silence. The air conditioner clicked. The refrigerator hummed. A door closed somewhere down the hall. I lay awake longer than I wanted to. Part of it was the drive. Part of it was the bed. Part of it was the smell. Chlorine. At first, I thought it was my imagination. We had passed the pool in the lobby. Of course I was thinking about chlorine, but the smell became stronger as the night went on. Clean, sharp, chemical. The smell of hotel pools and wet towels. Then I heard water. Not pipes, not a shower. A soft, hollow splash. Then another, like someone moving slowly through a pool. I opened my eyes. The room was dark, except for the red numbers on the alarm clock. 12:17 in the morning. Another splash. Then a child's laugh. My body went cold before my mind could explain why. The laugh came from below us. Faint, echoing. Someone had gotten into the pool after hours, I told myself. Teenagers, a drunk guest, a family that did not care about rules. Then Ben sat up in the other bed. Dad, what? Do you hear it? The pool. Go back to sleep. It is open. No, it is not. I hear people. So do I. It is probably pipes. It sounds like swimming. Then he whispered. Someone said my name. That woke me fully. I got out of bed and went to the door. I looked through the peephole. The hallway outside was empty. Then, faintly, from somewhere below, a voice called, Ben. My hand dropped from the door. Ben stared at me. You heard it. Allison sat up. Who said that? The voice came again. Soft, bright, echoing with pool room acoustics. Ben, come swim. Nora woke and began crying immediately. Allison turned on the bedside lamp. The yellow light made everything worse. I tried to keep my voice calm. Nobody is going swimming. Ben's eyes had gone glossy, but they said I could. Who? The kids. What kids? The ones in the pool. There are no kids in the pool, Allison said. Ben blinked slowly. I can hear them. Allison picked up the hotel phone and called the front desk. No answer. She tried again. Still no answer. My cell phone had no service. The hotel Wi-Fi failed. Maybe we should check, Allison said. You want to go down there? I want to tell whoever is making noise to stop, and I want the front desk to answer. Another laugh rose from below. Several children, this time. Ben smiled. They are playing Marco Polo. The look on his face frightened me. It was not curiosity anymore. It was recognition. We dressed the kids quickly. Shoes, hoodies. Nora still clutching her fox. The hallway outside smelled strongly of chlorine. The carpet felt damp under our shoes. The elevator button glowed before I pressed it. The doors opened. Inside, the elevator smelled like pool water. The floor was wet. I pressed the lobby button. Nothing happened. Then, the button marked P lit up. There was no P button before. Pool. The doors began to close. I pulled everyone out. The elevator shut without us. Then descended. The number display counted down. 3, 2, 1. Then P. From far below, children laughed. Allison whispered. Stairs. The stairwell door opened with a heavy groan. Concrete steps spiraled down into dim emergency light. The chlorine smell was worse inside. At the first floor, the air was warm and humid. The stairwell door should have opened into the lobby. Instead, it opened into the pool room. The pool lights were on, blue-white, bright enough to hurt my eyes. The water rippled gently. The pool was empty. No children, no swimmers, no front desk clerk. But the water continued moving, as if several people had just gone under. Behind us, the stairwell door clicked shut. Locked. I stepped to the glass door leading to the lobby. Through it, I could see the dark, empty lobby. But the pool door did not open. The sign beside it read, "Pool closed." Ben stepped toward the water. I grabbed his hood. "They are under there," he said. At first, I saw only ripples. Then something pale moved under the surface. A hand. small, pressed flat against the inside wall of the pool. Then another and another. Children, several of them, standing on the bottom of the pool, looking up. The pool was not deep enough for that. No child could stay underwater that long. But they were there. 5 of them, maybe 6, pale faces, blurred by moving water. Eyes open, all looking at Ben. Allison screamed. Ben smiled. They said they have been waiting. I pulled him backwards so hard he almost fell. One child opened its mouth. A bubble rose. When it broke the surface, a voice came from it. Ben. I dragged my son toward the glass door. Allison pounded on it. Megan. No one came. I slammed a plastic chair against the glass. No crack, no mark. Behind me, the water began to churn in a slow circle. The blue lights flickered. For 1 second, the pool room went dark. When they came back on, wet footprints covered the tile. Small footprints, child-sized, leading from the pool edge toward us. I did not see anyone climb out, but the footprints appeared one after another, coming closer. Ben whispered, "They just want to show me." Allison slapped him, not hard, just enough to shock him. His eyes cleared. He looked at the footprints and screamed. Good. That scream probably saved him. At the far wall, a red exit sign glowed. I rushed to it and pushed the bar. It opened. Cold night air hit my face. For half a second, relief flooded through me. Then I looked out. The door did not lead outside. It opened onto another indoor pool. Same size, same blue-white lights, same plastic chairs, same life ring, a perfect copy of the room we were already in. Except at the far edge stood a little girl in a red swimsuit. She raised one hand and pointed at Ben. He's supposed to be next. I slammed the door shut. The exit sign flickered. For a moment, the word exit changed to deep end. The children beneath the water gathered closer to the edge. A red emergency pull station sat beside the glass lobby door. I pulled it. Nothing happened. The label beneath it now read, "In case of emergency, do not leave children unattended." The pool ladder at the shallow end rattled. Ben began humming. Marco, Paula, Marco, Paolo. I grabbed his shoulders. Stop. He looked terrified. I cannot, the water answered. Small voices from beneath the surface whispered together, Paolo. Then the glass wall no longer showed the lobby. It showed a long, wet hallway lined with hotel room doors. At the far end stood Megan from the front desk. She pressed a damp note against the glass. Do not let him swim. I shouted, open the door. She mouthed, wake up the desk. The glass darkened. The lobby returned. Then the front desk phone began ringing. Out in the lobby, Allison whispered. The desk. But we were locked inside the pool room. I looked up. Above the towel shelf was a square maintenance hatch. I pulled the shelf away and found a narrow service cabinet. I broke the latch with my shoulder. Inside were pool chemicals, a mop bucket, extra towels, and a metal step stool. I set the stool beneath the hatch. The hatch pushed open into darkness. A low crawl space between the ceiling and the floor above. Behind us, something rose halfway out of the deep end. Not one of the children, something taller, a shape made wrong by water and shadow. It had too many arms. Or maybe the arms were children clinging to it from below. I lifted Nora first, then Ben. He was shaking now. Dad, I do not want to swim. I know. Climb. Allison went next. I climbed last. As I pulled myself through the hatch, something cold wrapped around my ankle. Small fingers, A child's hand gripped me from below. I kicked hard and pulled my leg up. For several seconds, we lay in darkness above the pool room. Beneath us, the children called Ben's name. The front desk phone continued ringing somewhere ahead. That sound became our guide. We crawled through the ceiling. Sometimes the pool below was empty. Sometimes pale faces looked up from under the surface. Once, through a crack, I saw our own family standing below beside the water. All four of us, soaked. All four, staring upward. I forced myself forward. Behind me, Ben whispered, "Dad, keep moving. Dad." What? There is someone behind me. In the darkness behind Ben, something wet dragged itself across the ceiling boards. A small hand appeared in the edge of my phone light. Then another. I shouted, "Move." We crawled faster. Ahead, a square of yellow light appeared. Another hatch. I shoved it open. We dropped into the lobby behind the front desk. The pool beyond the glass wall was dark. The phone rang again. I answered. For a second, only static. Then Megan's voice whispered, "Put him on." "No, not the pool," she said quickly. "The phone. Let him tell them no." "How do I know it is you?" "You do not." That was honest enough to scare me more. Through the glass, the pool lights flickered on. The water rippled. Ben began humming again. "Marco, Polo." I handed him the receiver. He listened, then shook his head. "No." A pause. "No." Another pause. I said no. The pool lights went out. The smell of chlorine disappeared. The receiver went dead. Then the lobby lights came on. A door behind the desk opened, and Megan stepped out wearing a coat over her uniform, hair messy, eyes wide with exhaustion. "Oh my God," she whispered. "You got out." Megan unlocked the front doors and told us to leave immediately. Not check out, not pack, leave. We drove to a 24-hour gas station and sat in the parking lot until sunrise. Megan met us there after her shift ended. She brought our bags and a folder. Inside were old articles and incident reports. The hotel had once been a private swim club. In 1987, during a winter lock-in, 6 children drowned. That was the official story. Only 5 bodies were recovered. The 6th child, a boy named Matthew Keller, was never found. Every few years, Megan said, a child heard their name after midnight. Most families left before anything happened. Some did not. Her own brother had heard it in 2006. They found him in the pool in the morning. His hair was dry. His pajamas were dry, but his lungs were full of pool water. We never went back to that hotel. 2 months later, I searched the location online. The hotel had closed permanently. Water damage, according to a local article. A pipe burst under the pool deck. I hoped that meant it was over. But last summer, on our way to visit Allison's parents, we stopped at a different hotel in Virginia. New building, bright lobby, no indoor pool visible from check-in. At 12:17 in the morning, I woke to the smell of chlorine. Across the room, Ben was already awake. He stood near the door in his pajamas, one hand on the handle. From somewhere down the hall came a faint splash, then a child's voice. Not calling his name this time, calling mine. "Dad," Allison whispered. No, the voice came again. "Dad, come swim." And from the hallway outside our room, several children whispered together, "Marco." Ben began to cry because he knew what came next. And from inside the bathroom sink, from the drain where no voice should ever fit, a whisper answered, "Polo." Story 4. The office floor between 13 and 14. I took the cleaning job because it paid better than the pub. That was the honest reason. People like to imagine night work attracts a certain kind of person. Loners, drifters, people with secrets. Maybe that is true sometimes. But in my case, I was 27, living in London, behind on rent, and tired of being shouted at by drunk men who thought ordering another pint made them interesting. Cleaning officers, after hours, sounded peaceful. No customers, no small talk, no managers pretending to be family. Just empty rooms, bins to empty, carpets to vacuum, desks to wipe down, and music in one ear while the city slept around me. The building was called Wren House. It stood near Farringdon, tucked between a glass-fronted consulting firm and an old brick church that looked too small beside all the modern offices. Wren House had 14 floors, a narrow lobby with black stone tiles, 2 lifts, 1 freight lift in the back, and a security desk staffed overnight by whoever drew the short straw. I started in October. By December, I knew the building better than most people who worked there during the day. I knew which office kept biscuits in the bottom drawer. I knew which floor had the worst bins after Friday meetings. I knew the 4th floor kitchen tap squealed if turned too far. I knew the 11th floor printer jammed even when no one was using it. I knew the 12th floor belonged to a legal firm that shredded everything. I knew the 13th floor was used by a tech company with standing desks, plants, and motivational posters no one seemed motivated by. The 14th floor was mostly executive suites and meeting rooms with glass walls. Nothing unusual, nothing haunted, nothing I would have remembered if not for the lift. The first time it happened was on a Monday night. Rain had been falling since late afternoon, turning the windows into black mirrors. By the time the day staff left, the city outside had become a smear of headlights, umbrellas, and wet pavements. I started on the top floor and worked my way down. 14, 13, 12, 11, then down to the lobby. The security guard that night was a Nigerian man named Victor. He had worked nights long enough to treat silence like an old friend. He liked football, peppermint tea, and conspiracy theories about property developers. At 11:40 at night, I passed the lobby with my cart. Victor looked up from his phone. "You going up, top to bottom? Take the left one," he said. "Right one's been acting stupid." "Stupid how?" "Stops where it likes." "That sounds safe." He grinned. "This building was built by people who think glass walls make thoughts better. Safety was never the point." I laughed and took the left lift. The doors closed. I pressed 14. The lift rose. Numbers lit above the doors. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Then the lift slowed. It should have continued to 14. Instead, it stopped with a soft, mechanical sigh. The display flickered. For a second, it showed nothing. Then, 13A. There was no 13A button on the panel. The doors opened. I expected darkness. A mechanical room, a service level, maybe an error in the lift system. Instead, I saw an office floor, bright, clean, silent, almost identical to the 13th floor above or below it. Open plan desks stretched across a carpeted space. Glass meeting rooms lined the far wall. A kitchenette sat near the lift lobby. Computer monitors slept in black rows. For a few seconds, nothing seemed wrong. Then I noticed the windows. There were none. Wren House had windows on every office floor. This floor had smooth, white walls where windows should have been. No blinds, no glass, no city. Just enclosed office space pretending that outside did not exist. The lift doors began to close. Before I touched the button, a voice spoke from the ceiling speaker. "Intermediate floor. Please proceed to your assigned desk." I pressed 14. The button did not light. 13. Nothing. Ground. Nothing. The panel went dark. The doors stayed open. Then I pressed the emergency call button. A red light blinked once. Victor's voice came through. "Security. Victor, it is Sam." The lift stopped on some weird floor. "What floor?" 13A. There was a pause. Then Victor said carefully, "There is no 13A. I know. Are the doors open? Yes. Stay in the lift. That was the first thing that truly scared me. Not the impossible floor, Victor's tone. He did not sound confused. He sounded like someone who had been waiting for this. I am trying, I said. None of the buttons work. Do not step out. I already sort of did. Pull your foot back in. I looked down. One of my shoes was over the threshold. I moved it back. Good, Victor said. I am calling maintenance. How do you know about this? The line crackled. For a second I thought I heard several voices speaking behind him, whispering, typing, office sounds. Then Victor came back, farther away. If anyone asks you to find your desk, do not answer. What does that mean? And do not read anything with your name on it. The speaker went dead. The doors remained open. Then the printer somewhere on the floor printed one page. Then another. Then another. I told myself not to move. But minutes passed. The lift did nothing. The air inside grew stale and warm. My phone had no signal. Even the time would not update. It read 12:03 in the morning. A green exit sign glowed at the far end of the office. The idea that the lift might shut down with me trapped inside felt worse than stepping onto the impossible floor. I pushed my cleaning cart out. The lift doors closed immediately behind me. The display above them showed 13A. Then went dark. I stood there breathing too loudly. The office smelled wrong. Not dusty, not abandoned. It smelled like a normal office during working hours. Coffee, warm electronics, carpet cleaner. Someone's lunch reheated too long. The air felt occupied, even though every chair was empty. Every desk had a photo. A woman on a beach. A man in a wedding suit. Beside someone whose face had been scratched out. A young woman holding a newborn. Hundreds of faces. Known familiar. Yet every desk looked actively used. A half-eaten apple beside a keyboard. A coat hung over a chair. A screen showed an unsent email draft. The subject line read, "Regarding your absence," the body said, "We have noticed you are no longer where you were assigned." I backed away. The printer whirred again. A large printer sat near the center of the floor. The top page had my name on it. Samuel Price, my full name. Below that, temporary night cleaning operative. Then desk assignment pending. I remembered Victor's warning. Do not read anything with your name on it. I turned the page face down, but I had already read too much. The printer screen changed. Assignment acknowledged. The office lights dimmed once, then returned. Across the floor, computer monitors woke one by one. Every username field filled itself. Samuel Price. I ran toward the exit sign. My cart tipped behind me. The exit sign hung above a door near the far wall. I shoved the bar. The door opened into a stairwell. Concrete stairs. Painted railings. Emergency lights. Real, nor I stepped inside. The door closed behind me. The sign on the wall read, "Stair B, floor 13A. I went down one flight. The landing below should have been floor 13. Instead, the sign read, floor 13A. I went down another, same sign, another flight, floor 13A. Always the same landing. On the wall, someone had written in pencil, "Do not count the floors, it counts back." Below me, somewhere far down, a door opened. Office noise floated up. Phones, typing, low conversation. Then a voice called, "Samuel, you are late." I did not answer. A figure stepped onto the landing, 3 flights down. Business clothes, white shirt, dark trousers. It looked up at me. Your desk is ready. I ran upward. Another landing. Floor 13A. Another floor 13A. Then the next door was different. Human resources. Behind it, a phone rang. I kept climbing. Training room, break area, exit, interview. Through the crack of that door, I saw a small room with one table, 2 chairs, and a glass of water. A woman in a black blazer sat in the far chair. "Mr. Price," she said, "we need to discuss your performance." The stairwell beneath me filled with voices. "Samuel, Mr. Price, your desk is ready. You left your things. Please return to your assigned floor." I climbed until I saw a sign. Roof access. I hit the door with both hands. Cold air burst over me. London opened above and around me. Rain, vent, distant sirens, streetlights. I stumbled onto the roof. Then the door slammed behind me. I crossed to the edge and looked down 14 floors to the street. A black cab passing the corner. A man with an umbrella crossing at the lights. I shouted. No one looked up. My phone still had no signal. I looked below. The 14th floor windows glowed with normal office darkness. Below that, the 13th floor. Between them, where no floor should have been, a long strip of windows reflected yellow light. Behind one of the windows, people stood at desks, dozens of them, still, facing outward, looking up at me. A speaker mounted near a vent crackled. The lift voice spoke. "Break time is over." Across the roof, a door appeared. Not the door I had come through. A glass office door with a silver handle. On the glass, white letters read, "Price, Samuel, night operations." Inside the door was not a room. It was my flat, my actual flat. I could see the tiny kitchen, the second-hand sofa, the drying rack by the radiator. Warm lamplight glowed inside. Safe, familiar, impossible. My sister, Ellie, stood by the counter, holding her phone. "Sam, are you home?" I almost opened the door. Then I remembered, do not read anything with your name on it. Do not answer. Ellie was in Manchester that week. She could not be in my flat. I stepped back. Inside, Ellie turned toward me. Her face was wrong. Not monstrous. Just unfinished. "Sam," she said, "you left the door unlocked." I turned away. The glass door shattered inward, silently. Cold office air spilled onto the roof. Printed pages blew around my feet, all with my name. Samuel Price. Samuel Price. Please proceed to your assigned desk. I ran to the parapet. There was nowhere to go. Then my radio crackled. Victor's voice burst through. "Sam, Victor, where are you?" "Roof? I think I am on the roof?" "No, you are not." "What?" "I am looking at the roof camera. It is empty." "Then where am I?" "I do not know. Maintenance is here. They say the left lift is sitting between 13 and 14 with the doors closed. It is empty. I got out." "No one saw you get out." "Then get me out." "I am trying." Behind me, the office door stood open. Now it showed the 13A office again. Rows of desks, monitors glowing, people standing between them, waiting. Victor said, "Do you see any fire alarm?" "Yes." "Pull it." I yanked the alarm. Nothing happened. The label changed. "Alarm acknowledged by management." Then the radio died. The people in the office doorway began to move, one step at a time. The woman at the front smiled. "Samuel, we saved you a place." I backed toward the roof edge. Then I noticed the cleaning cradle, a window washing platform, hung over the side of the building near the far corner of the roof. It was level with the impossible strip of windows between 13 and 14. I ran to it and climbed over the parapet. For one awful second, my foot found nothing. Then it hit metal. The platform swung. I searched for the control box. Down. Nothing. Down. Again. Nothing. From the narrow, impossible windows beside me, office lights glowed. Through the glass, I saw my cleaning cart upright again, and one empty desk near the window. A piece of paper sat on it. Samuel Price. The platform jerked, not down, sideways, toward the empty desk. Inside, people began to sit. One by one, they returned to their desks. The office came alive without sound, like watching people work underwater. I grabbed a metal hook from the platform floor and smashed it against the glass. Nothing. Again, nothing. The platform stopped directly outside the empty desk. On the other side, a chair rolled back by itself, waiting for me. I screamed, the kind of scream that tears your throat because your body has run out of better ideas. And maybe that saved me. Far below, on the actual street, someone looked up. A woman with an umbrella. She stopped. She pointed. Then another person looked. Then another. For the first time, someone outside saw me. The office lights flickered. The cradle stopped. Inside 13A, every head turned toward the street. The building had noticed them noticing. The glass in front of me cracked. I struck it again. This time, it shattered. Office air burst out. Varm, stale, full of printer toner and old coffee. I climbed through and ran for the lift lobby. The left lift opened. Inside stood Victor, real Victor, sweating, terrified, holding the lift doors apart with both hands. Run. I ran. Something grabbed my cleaning apron. I slipped out of it. Someone called my name. My mother's voice. My sister's. My own. I did not turn. Victor pulled me into the lift. The display flickered. 13A, 13A, 13A. Then 13. The lift dropped. Victor and I hit the floor. The lights went out. The emergency brakes screamed. For 3 seconds, we were weightless. Then the lift slammed to a stop so hard my teeth cut my tongue. The doors opened. Lobby. Real lobby. Black stone tiles. Security desk. Rain. Straight glass doors. The world. Maintenance workers stood there with pale faces. Victor dragged me out. I sat on the lobby floor, shaking, tasting blood. Victor crouched beside me. "You read something with your name on it," he said. I nodded. He closed his eyes. "Idiot." That made me laugh. A horrible, broken laugh that turned into coughing. The official explanation was, lift malfunction, stress, panic, a possible electrical issue. There was footage of me entering the lift. Then nothing. For 46 minutes. No cameras, recorded, floor 13A. No one found a hidden floor. No office between floors. No structural space large enough to contain one. But 3 days later, Victor gave me a still image from the left lift camera. The timestamp was 12:03 in the morning. The lift doors were open. I stood inside, one hand on my cleaning cart. Beyond the doors was floor 13A, and behind me, reflected in the lift's metal wall, stood dozens of office workers, all watching. I asked Victor how he knew what to tell me. "Stay in the lift. Do not read my name. Do not answer." He looked at his coffee for a long time, because 3 years ago, a woman from payroll stepped out on that floor. What happened to her? She came back. That should have been comforting. It was not. She came back the next morning, he said. Sat at her desk like nothing happened. Answered emails. Went to meetings. Nobody noticed at first. At first, she had no reflection in the lobby glass. And she never left the building again. I quit that week. No notice. No final shift. I changed phone numbers. moved flats, took a day job in a warehouse south of the river. For almost a year, I avoided office buildings. Eventually, normal life softens fear. Not removes it, softens. You begin taking lifts again. Then, last month, I received a letter. No return address. Typed label, my full name, Samuel Price. Inside was an access card. White plastic. No company logo. Just a line. Floor 13A, night operations. I cut it into pieces and threw it away in separate bins. That night, my phone alarm went off at 12:03 in the morning. The label read, shift starting. The next night, it happened again. Then emails began arriving. No sender, no subject, only calendar invitations. Daily, repeating location, rent house, floor 13A. I blocked them. They came back. I changed phones. They came back. I moved again. They came back. Last Tuesday, the warehouse installed a new lift. Management said it would make things easier. More efficient. Safer. I avoided it for 3 days. Then, yesterday morning, my supervisor asked me to help move inventory to the 3rd level. There were other people with me. Daylight. No rain. Just a warehouse lift full of boxes and 2 co-workers talking about football. I told myself I was being ridiculous. We stepped in. The doors closed. The lift rose. 1, 4, then it slowed. My co-worker beside me stopped talking. The display flickered. For 1 second, it showed nothing. Then, 13A, the doors opened. Not onto an office, onto the lobby of Wren House. Black stone tiles. Security desk. Rain running down the glass doors. Night outside. Victor stood behind the desk. But it was not Victor. Not really. He smiled at me with a face that had learned the shape but not the warmth. Evening, Samuel, he said. Top to bottom tonight? Behind him, both lifts stood open, and from somewhere above, polite office voices began calling my name.